Recently, I had the opportunity to watch people play Yandere Simulator for the first time. This was an incredibly valuable experience for me because it showed me what aspects of the game are confusing for newcomers. After I realized how difficult it can be to play Yandere Sim for the first time, I felt inspired to put a tutorial into the game. My original plan for the game's tutorial was a scripted sequence where Kokona asks Yandere-chan to help her rehearse a play about a serial killer. The rehearsal would introduce all of the game's core mechanics: stabbing, dragging corpses, disposing of evidence, etc. However, it would be time-consuming to add this type of sequence to the game, and I don't want the game's development to be delayed any further. So I decided to include a different type of tutorial that could be added to the game much faster. Here's what I came up with. When the player triggers certain criteria, such as damaging their reputation, a tutorial window will appear to provide information about the current situation. If you don't want to see these tutorial windows, you can disable them with a single button press. This is a temporary solution. I still want to implement the serial killer rehearsal one day, but I'll save that for some time in the future, probably after the game's crowdfunding campaign. In order to determine what type of information would be beneficial for a new player, I had to imagine that I was playing Yandere Simulator for the first time. When I did this, the game began to look completely different to me. I started noticing all kinds of game design flaws and huge glaring problems that I had been ignoring up until this point. I decided to spend the month of April fixing everything that was bothering me about the game. I made a tremendous number of changes to the game over the course of the past month, and I'm going to name the most significant changes in this video. When I first introduced the student council, I stated that they would send you to the guidance counselor if they caught you misbehaving. I completely forgot about this until last month. As of now, it is finally an aspect of the game. The student council will now send you to the guidance counselor when they catch you misbehaving, similarly to teachers. However, they will still pepper spray you if they feel that their lives are in danger. Most students only check their locker once at the beginning of the day. This means that if you want a student to find a note in their locker, you have a very small window of time to do it. This prevented the feature from being useful. To solve this problem, it is now possible to tell a student to go check their locker for a note at any time of day. Up until now, Yandere Simulator has not featured a map. This is one of the factors that made it very difficult for newcomers to jump into the game easily. As of now, I have finally added a map to the game. It displays your current location, as well as the location of your senpai and your classroom. Hopefully, this will help newcomers get their bearings much faster. Some characters will use their phones to take an incriminating photo of you if they witness you commit murder. Then they will attempt to send that photo to the police. If you kill them before they send the photo, then you will get away with your crime. But logically, if the police arrive at school for any reason and find corpses, they would check the victims' phones for clues, and would eventually find an incriminating photo of you. This always struck me as a game design oversight. So as of now, if anyone takes an incriminating photo of you, you are required to destroy their phone, to eliminate the possibility that you could be arrested for the evidence on that phone. The ability to hide your identity with a mask was too overpowered, because it would allow you to murder your rival right in front of senpai with no consequence. To balance this feature, I've decided to give senpai a unique reaction to witnessing a masked murderer. I've decided that senpai has a strong sense of justice and feels disdain for people who commit evil behind a veil of anonymity. The sight of a masked murderer will fill senpai with disgust and cause him to disregard his own safety and unmask the murderer at all costs. This means that if senpai sees you commit murder while wearing a mask, he'll run up to you and rip the mask off your face, which will cause an instant game over. This will prevent the mask feature from being easily exploited. For a long time, I felt that it doesn't really make sense for Yandere-chan to be able to run away from pursuers. It makes sense for games where it's possible to escape the consequences of your actions by fleeing and hiding. But if Yandere-chan has committed a murder in front of a teacher, she can't just run away and return to school the next day like nothing happened. It simply doesn't make sense to give the player the option of running away, since your pursuer isn't going to forget what they saw. So, from now on, if someone begins to chase Yandere-chan, you no longer have the option of running away from them, and you have to confront them immediately. During low school atmosphere, students are paranoid that a serial killer could be lurking around any corner. Logically, they should react differently to your behavior when they are in that kind of state. I've decided that if the player is spotted while covered in blood and wielding a weapon during low school atmosphere, the witness will automatically assume that you are a murderer without actually seeing a corpse or a murder. Several years ago, I stated that students with the social butterfly persona would react to murder by running to a crowd of students and hiding among them. However, the game never actually functioned that way. Until recently. As of now, you will finally see social butterflies behaving as they were always meant to. They will determine which location at school currently contains the most students and will run to that location for safety. For a long time, losing your sanity in Yandere Simulator only affected the game in a small number of ways. You would look suspicious, and your attack animations would become more brutal, but aside from that, losing your sanity didn't feel like losing your sanity. I decided that I wanted to improve this, so I've updated the sanity feature in a number of ways. When Yandere-chan's sanity drops very low, she will begin to have intrusive thoughts. This means that no matter how hard she tries to concentrate, she will be unable to stop thinking about killing her rival. From the player's perspective, these thoughts will be perceived as ghostly visions of Yandere-chan performing gruesome murder animations on her current rival. She will also lose her self-control and start involuntarily giggling to herself, which will attract the attention of people around her. Additionally, she will lose the ability to distinguish people from one another. Because the only person she cares about is her senpai, everyone else will become a dark blur. And finally, she will become unable to resist her murderous urges, and she will automatically attack anyone who is within range, without any input from the player. Everything I've just described is only a small portion of the many changes that were made to the game in April. I also made numerous other additions to the game, such as putting props inside of Info-chan's room to give it the atmosphere that I always imagined for it, and adding a red string of fate that connects Senpai to the current rival. Every month, I look at Yandere Simulator and ask myself, is it ready for the first rival yet? And the answer is always, no. I can't justify putting a rival into the game while there are still so many broken mechanics, design flaws, and missing features. I started the month of April with a giant list of all the issues that needed to be fixed before I would be willing to implement a rival. But by the end of April, that list had shrunken down to just 2 or 3 remaining issues. This makes me feel like I'm at the stage of development where I'm rolling out the red carpet for the first rival. I can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I hope you can see it too. Thank you for following the development of Yandere Simulator. When Yandere-chan's sanity drops very low, she will begin to have intrusive thoughts. This means that no matter how hard she tries to concentrate, she will be unable to stop thinking about thoughts.